Now, too often this offseason, due to, in my opinion, people have only looked at the Phillies season in a worst-case scenario type of mindset. When I think in actuality, we should also look at it as a best-case scenario because they did win 95 games last year. I recognize everything that we've said about the postseason, but you also have to look at the regular season because they are about to embark on a 162-game journey to get to that postseason. And you can guarantee that the roster that you have right now will not be the exact same roster that you will have in the postseason. There's going to be changes along the way that can make this team better, both internally in a player like Painter, for example, and also externally at that trade deadline. Not a single year has Dave Dombrowski not done something. So we should look at the team best case scenario, and then we can look at individual best case scenario, okay? And we'll also get to the worst case scenario. I'll tell you right now, worst case scenario to the second wild card. That's worst case scenario. Worst case, they're somehow third in the division, but with the way the NL is, Arizona's not as strong. The Dodgers are going to run away with that division. Also, Arizona would have to deal with the Padres. Worst case scenario, they're the second wild card. Best case scenario, they're the best team in baseball. That's still a possibility with them. That, to me, matters. You cannot only look at everything that may go wrong, you also have to at least consider the things that may go right. And there's a lot of other things. Like, why isn't, like, people just crown Ohtani now? How do we know Bryce Harper's not about to win his third MVP? Really putting himself in a class of the all-timers. Think about Bryce Harper with an MVP and a World Series. Look at that resume now at 32 years old. I think you have to put that in. How do we know Wheeler doesn't get close this time and wins the NL Cy Young? That's in play. Can't only look at the negatives. What about the daycare? What if two of those three guys really established themselves? Whether it's Bohm, who established himself for about 120, couldn't do it the last 40 or so, plus the playoffs. What if he does it over 162? People are sky high on Bryson Stott. Sky high. In fact, some people uncomfortably high on Bryson Stott because I think they just like him. What if he goes from 240 to 290 as a hitter? What if he really was hurt? And I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm saying what if the injury really did hold him back in a big way? What if he can hit lefties? What if JT doesn't go all the way back to the best catcher in baseball, but what if he goes back to the range of the best player in baseball now that he had a full offseason to rehab that surgery that he had during the season last season? What if Luzardo returns to form? What if Sanchez continues to be great? What if Painter comes up in late June, early July, and lives up to the billing? And what if he's as good as we think? I think we have to explore today every scenario for the Phillies, not only the negative scenarios. And I say that because you cannot just, because you're mad at them, not recognize the 95 wins they had last season. Despite your catcher missing a bunch of times, you had to play Stubbs. You know what? That should count for 100 if you win 95 with Stubbs as your backup. That should maybe count as 100. Ricky Bo, I think that I understand why some fans have been reticent to get all in. But I think that we should also look at what could go right with this baseball team because they're good.
And certain things will go right. I think you brought up a really good scenario, especially the one thing that sticks out to me is the daycare, the babies, whatever you want to call them. They're not babies anymore, number one. Number two, it's time for them to step up, right? If 2 out of 3 of those guys step up, it's an improvement from last year. So you could start right there at 95 games and say, okay, improvement from last year. I look at the starting rotation. I think that game is that rotation is possibly 10 more wins better than it was last year. And I'm including an upgrade of Christopher Sanchez. If Zach Wheeler stays the same or gets a little bit better, if Nola has a little bit better season. Ranger, I'm not even that worried about right now. But you also brought in a guy in Jesus Luzardo who could put up a bunch of wins for the Phillies too. So I see their win total going up. I see the batting, the lineup. Okay. The most important guy in that lineup is Trey Turner. I think you've made that abundantly clear over the last month or so that this is a guy that's got to have a good year for the Phillies to kind of fly. And if he has a good year, you think about this. He hit 294 last year, and he struggled for 2.5 months of that season. Think about this. He doesn't struggle. Where is he now? Where is the offense now? How much better is that offense, considering he's going to be leading off probably, I would say not quite half the games if they are doing the lefty-righty situation, but he will get his fair share of leading off. Schwarber, is he going to hit his home runs? He hits 40 home runs. That's perfect. One guy I think is going to take a big step, and you brought him up, and I really believe this. I believe Bryce Harper is going to be gigantic this year.
Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want more of this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And you can do that kind of over here if you want more of the best show ever.